Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing just for a few minutes as we recognize those that have lost their lives in defense of this country across the seas and here in our own community. Thank you. We're going to begin. We have several special guests with us tonight. First of all, I have a proclamation that is still being put together for a special group, not for you, for a special group of people that come through the community on a regular basis. And this past Sunday was a very special day for them. And so I want to invite up the Patricks to join me and just tell us a little bit about the Volksmarch that just happened this past Sunday.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're members of the club. It's called the West Point Volksmarch Club, but it's part of an international group of people that walk. We just happen to be a local chapter, but we've been at West Point for 25 years. We've celebrated our 25th anniversary this past year, very successful. We've had about 100 members. We're open to all members of the community. Many of our members now are from Poughkeepsie. We have a walk across that bridge, the railroad bridge in Poughkeepsie. We have a walk in Cornwall. We have a walk in Fort Montgomery, which we did this past Sunday. We also have a walk at the battle site in Fort Montgomery, which is nice. Our walk specifically this past Sunday, in which we had about 25 members, and there's a wonderful picture that will probably be in the next edition of the local paper that you can see. Commemorated like 9, 10, 11, and 12.
No,
10, 11, 12,
10,
13,
11
14.
and 12. It was like
it was 10.
10 minutes after 11 o'clock in the morning that we got started on the 11th.
10.
10, Anyway, it was a special time, and it was celebrated by 75 clubs across the United States, and we just happened to be one of those clubs. And so the mayor came and said hello to us and welcomed us, and we started at the clock and walked our normal walk. And so that's who we are. We've been here for a long, long time, and we welcome all members to join us for fun and recreation and health. That's what the purpose of this club is.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And the reason I invited the Patricks here to represent the Volksmarch group is because I think that we have more people in our community that will be part of that, because that's what our small community is about. These kind of organizations, and it's what Mr. Patrick didn't mention was several of the walks they do a historical walk. They participate in one of 100 historical houses in Boston or
Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Fredericksburg, Virginia. So they actually travel and do walks, and they do them here as well. And at the clock, it was, as Mr. Patrick was saying, they actually were celebrating 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And they had a sign, I didn't understand it, so they had actually told me, and that was at 10, 11 in the morning on December, which is 12, the 13th, 2014. And they had shirts made up, and it was very cool. And it's a very great group. And one of the things that's not happening in our community is that we're not building a lot of the organizations that have been around for 25 years, 30 years. So these groups that are existing and holding on, and I actually met several members in the group, and they always welcome more people, and that's why they're here. And I just want to congratulate them on a very commemorative walk. And if you do, feel free to get a hold of the Patricks if you're looking to possibly get involved in the Volksmarch group. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we do have a proclamation for you because of the 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Right here.
So now, just so we can get to what we have to get to. If I could ask for Bill Strobel and Marty Burns to please come up. And this is not just about Bill Strobel and Marty Burns, though they without question represent this organization to its fullest. We have several other members with us today, and that's the Town of Highlands Volunteer Ambulance Corps. There will never be enough said about the people that volunteer with the ambulance corps, with the fire department, the hours put in. For those that truly, unlike some people that just drive, there's others that are always putting in training and more training and more training, so they're ready. You can't be ready enough. And that's what these two are continuously doing, making sure their crews are ready and prepared for what may never happen in this community. But if it does, they'll handle it. So, I wanted as many ambulance people to come, and we're going to do this better and better as we go, because they're recognized 1 week out of the year. That's not enough for what they do. They have one social out of the year. It's not enough for what they do. But 2 landmark events happen at their annual dinner, and that is, spin a little bit. Give us a little show, Bill. Let me see the face
I didn't
on.
wear mine, I'm sorry.
Let me see the face on TV. You know. On top of Marty becoming a life member, along with Chris, she surpassed her 2,000 call. Not landmark. Thank you. Exactly. So a certificate of dedication to Marty Burns, and thanks for the phenomenal participation for over 2,000 calls from the village. And again, this is something, you're like, oh, well, that's what they do. No, people don't get to these. Very few members will get to this in their lifetime. Okay, very few. Then, now Marty just became a life member as well, as I said with Chris. Now Bill has been a life member for a few years. And when you talk about that person that lives and breathes, that's the people up here. We have a lot of those members with us. We do. But Bill has basically taken on himself to say, the ambulance corps is my home, is my life, is my family. And as well as others. But the difference, I don't know of anybody who will ever achieve this again. And that is over 5,000 calls.
Wow.
Okay? Now Marty is the next one down at 2,000, and she's way ahead of the rest of the pack. Okay? Way ahead. Bill, over 5,000 calls. It's not going to happen again. Marty's the only one. I got some money on her. I've told her I'll make a couple extra phone calls. We'll get you out a couple more times. But outstanding. Outstanding representation of who we are in the village, in the town. Again, certificate of dedication for over 5,000 calls.
There you go, Bill. And you know what, we wouldn't get anywhere if we didn't have somebody driving.
Yeah.
And because of that, those who don't know, our mayor is also a driver for the volunteers. You weren't at our installation,
I'm
but
sorry, I was
you
working.
achieved
Don't hate me.
597 calls, and we want to say thank you for
Very
you.
shy.
Thank you.
But they had to come because I want to thank, what church is it, Marty?
Oh, the Grace Baptist.
The Grace Baptist Church. I should know, but the Grace Baptist Church does a great job in recognizing the ambulance corps and other groups in the community, and that needs to happen more, particularly for those that volunteer. So I want to thank them so much. Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Let's go.
See you later.
Public comment on agenda items. Public hearing. I need a motion to open a public hearing for the amendment to the village code, peace and good order, 152-6 penalties.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. Are there any questions? Any comments? No? Gina, am I reading over this whole thing? Or just the resolution?
Just the adoption, once you close the public hearing.
Okay. There are no questions, no comments. I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close.
Second? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Doing just the amendments?
Just the resolution of adoption.
Okay, thank you. Resolution adoption local law number 3 of 2014, amendment of the village code 152-6, penalties for offenses. Whereas an introductory local law entitled Amendment of the Village Code 152-6, penalties for offenses was introduced before the Board of Trustees, the Village of Highland Falls on December 1st, 2014, and upon notice duly published and posted, the hearing was held on December 15th before the Board of Trustees. Whereas the adoption of the introductory local law entitled Amendment of the Village Code 152-6, penalties for offenses, is hereby determined to be type 2 secret action. Now therefore be it resolved, the introductory local law entitled Amendment of Village Code 152-6, penalties of offenses of the Village of Highland Falls be hereby adopted as local law 3-2014 of the Village of Highland Falls on December 15, 2014. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment?
So moved.
Second? All's in favor?
Roll call.
Opposed?
Oh,
Roll call.
Roll call.
Correct, roll call.
Trustee Mellon.
Aye.
Trustee Brown. Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Mayor Flynn.
Aye. We'll be doing 2 or 3 more of these over the next couple weeks, just to let you know why we're doing it. We're putting a lot more teeth on our local laws. The problem right now is when we do get things passed, a majority of that money that is collected off fines goes to other agencies and does not come back to the village. Yet our people are the ones giving out the tickets and enforcing the laws. So it's basically a paperwork issue so that that money can come back to the village, so that we can use it to help the people that are enforcing the law. That's basically what we're doing with that amendment. Okay. Reports. Wastewater.
Wastewater. Average volume wastewater treated at the plant, 414,000 gallons per day, 5.1 inches of precipitation. Facility met all speedies and DEP permit limitations. Fennel Lake pump stations, Havens Road facility checked regularly, operating properly. 11 tons of digested sludge processed through belt filter press and disposed by Spectraserve Inc. Belt filter press in operation 7 days. 1 man working snow removal with street department 1 day. Chief operator John Jones attended the department head meeting on the 12th. Sanitary sewer system, Web Lane pump station, Trico Electric replaced faulty lead flow. Repaired sewer lateral with roots at 15 Lake Street, assisted by street department. Began filling Havens Road flow equalization tanks at 8 a.m. and November 13th, drain tanks at 10 a.m. on November 14th to flush clean interceptor piping. Painted interior of Web Lane pump station 2 days, marked out 4 sewer mains during the month as for UFPO notices. Sewer main blockages on Church Street and Main Street by Don Fong's Restaurant. TAM Enterprises jet vac removed blockage twice during the month, November 4th and November 24th. Roots and pipe. TAM cambered the pipes on the main and 26th to verify and we returned the root cutter to remove the section of large roots that were in the main. I didn't get from Kevin if they, I'm assuming that that was all done and he told me they were gonna do it last Tuesday.
Right.
I believe that that's all completed.
I believe so, yes.
Maintenance of pumps, motors, and machinery as required. Maintenance of buildings and grounds as time allows, 23 days. Man hours lost due to sick, vacation, personal leave, and compensatory leave time, 16 days. Gas consumption, 65 gallons.
Did you put on there about the Web Lane? Did we do that in last report?
No.
Just so they know,
What, I'm sorry?
the Web Lane pumps went down.
Yeah, they replaced the faulty lead.
Well, no, it's not,
Oh, are they gonna replace it?
to my knowledge.
Okay.
We'll double check on that.
Also the vacuuming, he said they were vacuuming the north end. I think the vac goes away tomorrow. He's doing the leaves, he's working right his way south, and by the end of tomorrow, that'll be it for the leaves for the rest of this season. There was another message he gave me, as Christmas lights, LEDs, I asked him to get back to me on the low there, because we pay an estimated read on all those
Right, right.
decorations. So the LEDs probably
Lower,
considerably
okay.
cheaper, so
Yes.
contact Orange Rock and get a little bit on it.
Very good point. If those are, you're not picking that up, we pay a basic fee when we put the snowflakes up and whatnot. Now, Kevin, who's in charge of DPW at this point, went ahead and, I don't know if people noticed the difference in the snowflakes this year. They were, the lights were pulled off, the snowflakes were repainted, and LEDs were put on, which reduces our electric quite a bit. And that's why Bob, and thank you very much, Bob, for following up on that. Bob's following up on, with Orange and Rockland, to make sure that we're not still paying the, because there is no real gauge. They just said, you're pulling this much load, that's your bill. Now we want to go out and find out exactly what we're using for electric, so they can actually reduce the bill.
Yeah.
And that's another way
They're
to,
gonna take care of that.
another way to save a little money, and I appreciate that effort.
No problem.
Treasurer?
Good evening, Mayor, trustees. A report for December, monthly financial updates, revenue expense reports were published, available for the mayor and trustees to review. I'll discuss a couple quick line items on it in 1 second. We finished our audit with Nugent and Hausler just about 2 weeks ago. Overall, preliminarily, looks like all of our accounting and everything that we're doing looks strong. They were very positive about the upgrade that we got in our bond rating, and they were also pretty favorable toward the efforts of this board to deal with the debt. And certainly that's something that's been on the table for a while. I should get our final document in January. I'll be meeting with Bill Trainer to go over the fine points of the overall evaluation. So overall looks preliminarily good as far as the reporting. Financial snapshot, just a quick mid-year review. Just wanted to point out a couple things as far as on our revenue side. Mary, you're speaking about the courts. You know, the prosecutor overall is doing a pretty darn good job. He's above plan right now for what the requirements are in the prosecutions of different things going on.
And just so we know that, not to interrupt, but that's where what we just passed came from the prosecutor.
Correct.
Our prosecutor was very instrumental in not just pointing out the fact we're not getting the money that we should be getting, but also in helping to create these laws along with our attorney and our chief to get us to where we need to be.
Exactly, and again, his numbers are reflecting that, and that's a nice improvement over previous times where the money has been in the teens as far as revenue, because of the same things the mayor's mentioned, a lot of tickets being written that aren't necessarily gonna be credited to the village, they were either credited to the town or the state. So certainly that's going to help with those costs. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the effort of the salaried overtime items, I've been paying a lot of extra attention to that. Obviously, during Thanksgiving, we had the weather, so we're gonna incur overtime to make sure the streets are safe. But we do have to remain vigilant with that for the rest of the year. As well as our contingency account is being pressured quite a bit. Again, everything is reasonable, but we're having a year where a lot of things are coming due and unexpected things are coming due. So paying particular attention to that. And then in addition, looking at our debt service, everything's on schedule. And as the time goes by, that should improve as far as the overall debt costs, especially with the consolidation of our bans into one large ban in March will help with our costs of debt. Probably at least $10,000 in savings by going that route. So a lot of that is pending. We did have some benefits as far as on the revenue side with certain FEMA reimbursements that have come in, so that's gonna help with the bottom line. And again, with our water and sewer departments who have strong contingency funds, they really haven't had to dip into them so far this year. So that's a very big net positive, because whatever doesn't get spent will go into their fund balance. And we've talked about the need to get the fund balances for sewer and water up. So just a quick snapshot of where we are financially at about just after the 6-month point. And if there are any additional questions or anything comes up, don't hesitate to contact me.
Thank you so much, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Excellent. I do have a couple checks here for you. I just realized that if I didn't give it to you, I might forget. I do want to give a quick thank you again. This, hopefully, if this works out the way it should, our revenue should increase quite a bit from even where we are now. And I want to give a very big thanks to Kostas Fatsis, Chief Scott, and Bill Florence for putting the time in. The three of them put a lot of time in to turn these things over to village ordinances. And hopefully we'll be able to see some money. I have a check here for $100 for the art walk, which I will mention in my report. And that's from Durham's. So we'd like to thank Durham's Automotive. And I have a $1,000 check here from Eisenhower Leadership. They've been here several times. They're out of country right now. They'll be back in January for the official presentation, but they gave me the check. They said, why don't you take the money now? I'm like, yes, I will. So that $1,000 is gonna go for beautification. We had a lot of comments of what happened in the fall and working with Vision here in the winter. I've talked to several people from the Vision group and said that the village, when I talk to other mayors and supervisors, the villages and towns are more interactive with the beautification of the community. So we do need to build up our beautification fund, support it, because we got a lot of comments on the fall, and that wasn't a great expense, in my opinion. So that we can do this year round, and we can keep the village looking beautiful. So I want to give you those before you take off.
Okay, great. Just finally, I want to mention, we're about 2 months away from budgetary times to discuss budgets. And obviously, there's a lot of individual department head issues that have come up throughout the year. I've let those department heads know to make sure that during budget hearings, if it comes up, like grant money that comes in, making sure it's processed to the proper year, so that when the bills come due, everything matches up. So any information, anything that's important to the board coming into the budget session, please note it down and send it my way, so that we can be pretty well ready to go with our budget process coming up. That's up.
Excellent.
Okay?
Thank you. Moving to the mayor's report. Get your guts in gear. The ride for Crohn's and colitis, June 13th and 14th, 2015. We did receive a letter. You have that in your packet. It's for an annual ride. It's called Get Your Guts in Gear. It's to raise money for Crohn's and colitis, and they're just giving us a heads up that they will be coming through, so we'll make preparations for that. They ride through a small part of the village on a much bigger loop through the area. And it's a great cause, and they just wanted to inform us that they will be coming through again this year. We hope that, and they hope that we support them. The Orange and Rockland Vegetation and Management is there beginning about January 15th. They wanted to give us a heads up that they're doing that. I talked to him today. I talked to Michael Grant from O&R. He will be coming in to give us, to give me a quick breakdown of how much time this is going to be involved. This is basically taking down trees that are interfering with lines, things like that. So again, they're just giving us a heads up of what's happening. Yes.
Well, they talk about taking the removal of incompatible species from the transmission rights of way. In your discussions, could you talk about potentially replacing those trees with compatible species? Because sometimes the utilities come through and they
Yes.
denude the street.
Well, they have a right of way there, and I believe, I don't know what it is, and it depends on voltage. So they come through and, I don't care what it is, they're gonna cut it if it's in the way. But one thing we do benefit from is the fact that they do prune pretty good back here, and if you're from the other side of the river, they're off all the time. And they're off for days at a, well, Bill's familiar with that because he's from Garrison, so they go off for 3 or 4 days at a clip on a regular basis, so we're hardly ever off. So I think they're doing a good job.
They're doing it throughout the village, just mainly mainly trees, but they call it vegetation management, so.
I don't know what an incompatible species is.
An incompatible species is anything near the wires.
Okay.
That's
I thought I was waiting for some kind of answer, I could answer it.
At my mom's house, we had 3 nice trees that blocked us from Mountain Avenue, it was awesome. And there was like this much in the line, like, look, we're just gonna trim it up. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I come back the next day, all 3 trees are gone. And we're like, yeah. But they were incompatible species, by the way.
Okay.
So it was, it actually looks fine now, but boy, are you devastated when you lose 3 trees
They take private
that were, yeah, they'll come right onto private property. If it's interfering with the lines,
Yeah.
they have that right, they have the right of way.
On either side of the right of way where their lines come in.
Exactly.
And that, the point of that easement is so that they can trim to maintain the continuity of electrical supply, that's all.
All right, we also have a request from The Voice. Oh, yes. The TV show, The Voice, is coming to West Point. They have a contestant that is a member of the West Point Band, and they have asked to come to the village to shoot B-roll, which is basically backup role that they would use during their discussion and whatnot. So they will be filming for a short period in January, a day or 2. So don't be alarmed if you see a camera crews moving in mid-January through the village. That's just The Voice, and a little excited. So I know Bill's going to be involved. I know he's going to start getting his voice ready to go. Get ready. Just get ready. We also had a little miscommunication on my part, and I did call Senator Larkin's office today. We received the $50,000 from the community block grant for the senior center. And at the ribbon cutting, Senator Larkin said, you got the money, right? $50,000. And I said, yeah, no, it's good, thanks. Thinking he was talking about the $50,000 from the community block grant. He was not. Senator Larkin went ahead and got another $50,000 for us on his own out of his budget for the senior center. So now we have $100,000 hopefully in the spring. It's a process, so please, it's not gonna come tomorrow, but it is looking for this spring that we'll get the money. And I just wanna thank Senator Larkin, because I hit him up for a TV at the ribbon cutting ceremony, and he had already given us $50,000 I was unaware of. So
But he said yes to
he said yes to the TV as well, which is nice.
Well, he said he had to ask his wife.
He did, yes, he did have to ask us to get correct, exactly. So I just want to thank Senator Larkin and let the seniors know that he once again has come through for the community. All right, I had a meeting with our engineer. We went over several different topics, and I just wanted to bring it to the village that Al Fusco is going to be taking on the cell tower issue. He believes that he has, we've really only dealt with one cell tower company that actually came to the village and the town and told us this is how it has to be. So we never really went out to other cell tower companies to see what's available. Al knows several. He's gonna make it so that it's beneficial to this village and town, and it's not going to be near any residential areas, but hopefully we'll get the improved cell phone service needed. So we had a meeting last week. I want to let the community know that he is working on it, and he knows it's one of the priorities that we were looking for the community. Now, another guest here tonight, very excited. Someone who doesn't know what she's getting into, and that is Fran Galoo. Fran Galoo made the mistake of volunteering and saying the words, "whatever I can do." And she is gonna regret that so much when this is done.
No.
But,
Never. Never.
She has taken on the senior center, and tonight, I'm gonna ask the board to officially make Fran the head of the senior center committee. Again, this is very new to us, and we're not equipped to deal with this kind of a thing at the board level. Which again is why we wanna see it move to recreation in the town. But until that happens, and even after it happens, I'm sure Fran's gonna be involved. She's gonna head up a group of seniors, and you don't have to be a senior to be on the committee, okay? And Fran will be selecting a committee throughout the community. If you wanna help, you don't have to be a senior. You don't necessarily have to be on the committee, but we are looking for the bottom line, as always, money. If you wanna help fundraise, if you wanna help find money for the seniors, find things for the seniors by writing letters to Walmart and ShopRite and this and that, come see Fran Galoo, because I don't think that's gonna be an issue about us voting her in. So, but I would like to get official tonight and make it official for Fran, so she understands how much faith we have in her as to being able to pull this off, and know that you have the board's full backing on whatever you do. So, we do have a few other things, but I am gonna take this right into new business real quick. I would like to nominate Fran Galoo as I would like to appoint Fran Galoo as the head of the Senior Citizen Committee for the Village of Highland Falls. As the head of the Senior Citizen Committee, one of the things is you will be issued a key for the senior citizen. We will not be putting out keys to everybody. There'll only be very, very few. One will be with the police, because they will be opening and closing it at this time. One will be with you for emergencies. So we want to keep it very limited, because again, remember, it's a village building and liability lies with the village. So if too many people get it and the door's left open, people get in there after hours, wreck the community, wreck the senior center, then it's another $20,000 we're gonna have to put into it. So we need to keep tight wraps on this, but make it as available to the seniors as much as possible. So do I have a motion to appoint Fran Galoo the head of the Senior Citizen Committee?
Make that motion.
Senior Center Committee.
I make that motion.
Bob and Mr. Brown, do I, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Fran, thank you so much.
Will be, you already hit us up.
Exactly.
She said, oh, by the way, I need to talk to you.
She's not even at the meeting, she's got
left.
3 people on the group. But that's again what this village is all about, and I thank you for stepping up, Fran, I really do. It's, a lot of great things are gonna come out of the senior center, and,
And just so you know, we're already, 4 people have been identified that'll
Awesome.
confirm tonight when I get home, and we are meeting already on Wednesday.
and that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
we're already meeting on Wednesday, we will be at the senior center, I will let them know downstairs, and everybody's bringing a laundry list, so watch your emails, because we will be updating.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Speaking about Fusco, I did want to mention that the grants that received the $50,000 for the village, for the senior center, as well as $25,000 for the town, that's gonna go to Brooks's Park, were written by Al Fusco primarily, with help from Gina and Charlie for the village. But I just want to acknowledge Al, because with the short period he's been working with the village, he has really been aggressive of bringing additional money to us to fund things that never would have been able to be done if he's not doing that. And he's already looking at 3 or 4 more projects, and I'm very excited to have him as our engineer. Toy collection. The toy collection continues. The center is collecting toys. There will be a box available this week here in the village, because there's more hours here in the village for the center, and also at the Walk Hill Bank. I think those are the only 2 locations, correct, Mary Jane? No other locations, right?
Not that I know.
Not that we know of. So again, to assist those that may need a little extra something this year, those are the 3 locations, including the village. We will make it available, because again, we're open additional hours.
Drop off by Friday?
Excuse me?
Drop off by Friday?
Please. And the Christmas dinner, I have to thank Chris Burns for picking up the torch without question. It took him all of 1 second to say, yes, he'll do it, along with Andy and Ann Molina. They are putting together the Christmas dinner this year. They are starting from scratch, so they need as many helpers as possible, donations, cash donations, meaning checks, can be dropped off at the rectory. But please put in the, on the line item, Christmas dinner, community dinner, so they know that it's for that. Cooked turkeys,
15 more.
15 more. 15 more cooked turkeys. You don't have to do 15 yourself. If you can do one, that'd be great. 2 is better. And then volunteers.
And desserts.
And desserts. And we're looking for desserts. And we're looking for volunteers to assist day of, both in not just the kitchen, but out in the eating area, as well as delivering. So please, the information is in the paper. Check the paper. That's what the season's all about. For the kids, it's the gifts, because that's what they know. But to really show them what the season's all about, if you can, any way you can, please get involved in the community dinner. And I want to thank them for taking that on. We are also doing a book blitz. The United Way put it out that they are doing a book blitz throughout all over the country. They are doing it in cooperation to culminate at Dr. Seuss's birthday. So it's going to be a short book blitz. It'll end January 9th. There are boxes right now. Will be boxes here in the Village Hall tomorrow. They're collecting books at the elementary school and the middle school. Gently used children's books for the most part. Please don't go into your basement and get out the books that have been there for 50 years that have, too much dust on top. You can barely pick up the box. We're looking for books that people are going to want to read, that are fairly in good shape. No real beat up books. But I want to thank United Way for extending that to us, and we'll be getting that to them.
Those are staying local or going?
Nope, they will be going, United Way will be picking all the boxes up, and they'll be donating to areas that really need it. When I talked to, for example, at the, I just came, this past week was the county, annual county Christmas party, and our county executive, Stephen Newhouse, spoke. He is he also does the Navy, and they do the Toys for Tots drive. And up north, down here, the kids are actually involved in putting presents in the boxes. Up north, at several of the counties up north, he says it's very bad, and these are areas that these books will go. Because the kids were saying, while he was talking to us, the kids weren't asking for a doll or a plastic gun or anything. They were asking for blankets. They were asking for gloves and hats. That's what the kids were actually asking for when they came to this toy drive. So that's the areas that these kind of things will go, and that's what we should be doing. If we can, if we're able, we should be helping out those kind of areas because they need it. And I want to thank everyone that participates. We mentioned the art walk. The Eisenhower leadership is heading up the art walk. Dr. Shea is doing a fantastic job of pulling this together. Just so people understand what it is, and right now I believe they're down to 15 sites. 15 sites from basically Memorial Park to Thayer Gate. And these will be sculptures that will be placed along the roadway in the median area, and some, nothing will be in the road, but in the parking area, strung along from Memorial Park to Thayer Gate. The art walk is something that's been going on in several other areas in the Hudson Valley. Very successful to bring more people to the community. It will definitely add to the village's, what the village has to offer when people are visiting. And that's what the one check was today. I want to thank any of those businesses or individuals that are donating to get the art walk underway. They're looking at mid-May for the kickoff of the art walk here in the village. Under discussion, Allo property, Charlie?
Yes, I'm aware that a very large land trust has been negotiating for a parcel of property, one of the few remaining ones in the village that would be a really desirable location for appropriate development. Apparently, the property is being surveyed, and residents in the area were told, don't worry, the group isn't going to build anything, which rather sounds like it is a land trust. It's well and good if the land trust negotiates to purchase property, but I would like this board to request of our planning board an update, because this particular property was recently rezoned and the comprehensive plan addresses this property. So I'd like the planning board to give us a paragraph about what it is this community wanted to see on that property. And our board should contact the Board of Assessors to let them know that if a not-for-profit purchases that property, it should remain on the tax rolls. And again, it's my understanding that you don't need to take the property off the tax rolls unless we, as a community, dedicate it as parkland. Again, if it's this large land trust that I'm familiar with, they have purchased property elsewhere in the Hudson Valley with the intent of appropriate development. And that development, again, enhances the tax base. So I don't want to suggest that if it sells, nothing's going to happen there and they're going to instantly want to take it off the tax rolls. But I think we have to be a little proactive to make sure that the town assessors know that we do not, if you're in agreement with me, we do not intend to take it off the tax rolls.
Well said.
I agree, and it's important to understand, this needs to be looked at, and I appreciate Charlie taking the effort and being aware of what's going on. This is why we're at 7% of our entire town. We occupy 7%. Whether it's state or federal, they occupy 93% of the town islands. We can't afford to lose anymore. And if you weren't watching, it would go and no one would even know. We just see the article in an outside paper that they just took the property. So I appreciate it, and we need to fight it. We need to fight it, and we need to show them why we can't take it off the rolls, because we are, tax-wise, we are a dying community, and we need all the land we can.
Or let's say we want to negotiate what should go on that property.
I agree.
Hope they agree with us.
And it may not be such an appealing purchase if in fact they're gonna be responsible for the taxes. You know, it may change the whole outcome of going forward.
It's unlikely that anybody knows that 93% of the town is under government control and not available for citizens. They wouldn't, why would you buy and just narrow the availability of land for the village without wanting to choke it off? I think that's, if you use that, the choking off part as, how much that they're taking and has already been taken, and why would they ever come in here? I doubt that anybody ever really thought of that. It's a good argument, it's a really sound basis for having a dialogue.
As soon as it's confirmed that they actually are purchasing this, I think we would like to meet with them and discuss.
We're not sure which group yet.
I have fairly good,
Who's the owner? I mean, is it an organization?
Canadian guy, isn't he?
well, 3
Family.
siblings.
Uh-huh, okay.
Excellent. I don't think there's a question here. I think we're all in favor of
Yes.
trying to keep as much of our property to the village as possible.
Is it upland or down by the river?
It's right on the river.
And I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, do we need a formal,
Um,
Not for that
no,
necessarily. I think
this
it's just-
board is in favor of letting the planning board know, as well as pursuing to do what we have to do to keep, the whether it's keeping the property, being able to be a part of it. One, definitely staying on the tax rolls, but two, what's gonna happen to that, what's gonna be on that land.
So you as the mayor will ask the planning board for a brief summary of what it is based on the comprehensive plan and current zoning, what is intended to go there. And then,
And the significance of it, based on the fact that there's so little of the land within the town available for development.
The revision, I think, is right up on the wall there on that map.
oh, you're right. And then it's our intent to draft a letter to the town assessor stating that we do not intend to take it off the tax rolls.
Excellent.
Good job.
Good catch.
Okay, on to new business. Need to approve the minutes for the regular meeting December 1st, 2014. Mr. Brown, have a second?
Second.
Charlie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to authorize me to sign a letter of official permission for NBC show The Voice, a film B-roll on notable village landmarks and signs on January 14th, 15th, and 16th.
How are they gonna fill it? Is this gonna be an all-week thing, or? how-
No, it's during those times, but I talked to her today. She says they're gonna be in and out. It's gonna be very quick,
Okay.
but they wanna give themselves a window depending on weather and everything else and where they can. She said you're looking at max 2 camera guys, maybe a director.
One day.
One day. It'll be one day of those
Just not
3.
sure which day.
And of that one day, it's probably gonna be a couple hours.
True, please.
Do I, yeah, exactly. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to authorize an increase to the village's insurance coverage by approximately $100 to include coverage of the contents for the senior citizen center
That's annual, $100
Annual.
annually.
annually.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to accept with regret the resignation of part-time officer Michael Nolte, effective 12/12/14. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Do.
I am told this officer is
I don't know.
it's always very good, and it's gonna be a loss to the force.
Okay.
He did get a full-time job and is moving on. We wish him well. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to approve additional charge of $300 to clean up 84 Mearns on the property maintenance issue. This is above what we had already put on there, but again, we will get it reimbursed when with taxes. I have a motion. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution. Are you guys good with the resolution? Should we discuss that more? The one for the National Development Council?
Oh,
We started talking about it downstairs, but if you need more time, you can do that and then do it after.
Do we talk about the executive session first?
We don't have to talk about it, Zach. We can do it right now.
Okay.
It's to do with the contract, so I
Right.
think it's right for executive work.
Let me get a motion in a second, and we can go into discussion. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution to retain National Development Council to assist the village? Just a motion in a second, and we'll go into discussion. Do I have a motion? We're not voting on it.
Motion for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. Bill, do you want to just do a quick rundown of what we're talking about?
Yeah. We've had contact with an organization that is familiar with ways in which municipalities such as ours here can benefit from a way of consolidating municipal services. And in this particular case, we're speaking of a wastewater treatment plant that exists for the town and the village. And the idea is to encourage West Point to, instead of building at $70 million a new plant, to encourage them to pay a sewer rent of far less money over the years, not to exceed 40 years. But the idea is, and this is the key to it, reducing the burden of the ordinary expense that the citizens here have by creating this joint wastewater facility. The way it's done is, of course, first of all, we gather all the wastewater. Right now, West Point has an unacceptable circumstance with their plant. When it rains or there's a high tide in the moon, and right, raw sewage gets into the river. If the Department of Environmental Conservation is aware of it, they they cite them in effect, and they make agreements to cure it that they never have up until now. So their system is not a system that can continue in existence the way it presently exists. It's down near the water. So they had a choice. They would build a new plant for $70 million, or give or take. And that would take most of that money that could be used someplace else for other higher priority plans of the Department of Defense. Planes and aid to certain nations and things of that sort. So the plan, the idea, the seed of the idea coming from John Dodson is it has in it it's a great combination of idea. And all of this fitting together would save the village and produce profit for the village through this processing system. And so right now, we've introduced to the board the idea that it can be done. There is an organization that is used to doing this kind of work through the United States. It's called the National Development Corporation. And the fellow who is the principal in that organization, president, is a fellow by the name of Dan Marsh. I've had interaction with him in another role that I've had across the river as a city corporation council in other projects over there. And they have been successful projects, and of course he's been successful at doing this. It will require an awful lot more work and study on our part, not the citizens' part, but the idea is the plan can't work if it doesn't lessen the burden. We have to lessen the burden of the cost of the wastewater plant processing to the citizens. That's the whole idea of it. And that's what allows us to suggest this plan to not only the board, but also to the residents of Highland, the village of Highland Falls, and to the town, so we can consolidate. So we're just presenting for the village board to talk about a sense of the idea of the community, a sense of the board, that this, when explored, and if it can fulfill its promise, that we would be interested in going forward. If it can fulfill its promise of reducing the burden on the residents of the village. So that's where we are with this thing. And it's very preliminary at this point. It will take us quite a lot of listening and maybe some talking back to make this thing work. And of course, we have the prize, of course, is West Point. So we have to have a way that we present ourselves to them through our mayor and through the village town supervisor, and also from people who are expert in this in other locations in the community. So that's what it is right now. Hope I haven't talked too long about it, but I just want you to know what we're talking about and what we're motivated by, what our motivation is for doing this.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
It's important to understand the process. We're not doing this because we feel we can help West Point. That's a piece of it. We're doing this for the village. We have an opportunity. The academy is privatizing a majority of their utilities as well as other things. individual corporations are coming in and capitalizing on that, making millions, millions. Balfour Beatty is one of them, they have taken over the housing on West Point. There are several other areas that have been taken over. The Thayer is another area that has been privatized and now is a taxable entity, with the exception of being taxed by the village or the town, which is a part of. That's what we're working on right now. Now, as far as the utilities, they're looking to privatize their sewer. They're looking to privatize their water. They're looking to privatize their electric. We could sit by and say, hope you guys have hope it goes well for you. Or we can take a shot, privatize it and control it here in the village. By doing that, it's not about helping out West Point, which we want to do. It is about making money for the village. The sewer projects is probably one of the most lucrative projects of the utilities right now. We will be taking on all the customers on West Point as a customer, getting paid as a customer. There are a lot of benefits to West Point by us taking the plant here. It frees up the area so they can utilize that area for something else. It also privatizes, which is what they want. And this is not just West Point, this is happening throughout the country. But we need to take a shot at getting these privatization opportunities here. Because this is not a 2 to 3 year, we made a little money. This is forever. They will be our customers forever, as long as we run it properly. And that's a great opportunity for this village. That's a great base of income. And as Bill pointed out, there's no point in pursuing this if it doesn't ease the burden of this village. That's the whole point. When we put this together, it's not just gonna be the village, it'll be the entire town that's gonna benefit with lower rates and additional income, and that's the proposal. Bill?
There's another part of this that is beguiling to anybody else who has an interest in the river as well. What's going into the river right now is not acceptable effluent on West Point on many occasions. So if what we can do is process in a way that we send into the river pure water, bacteria-free, virus-free, we are improving the river by this facility that we're talking about. So it looks like it has motherhood, apple pie, and the flag all wrapped together here. When we have the environmental issues, we have a coincidental benefit to not only the residents, but also to our cash flow circumstance within the village and within the town as well. So we're going to try, and hopefully we can succeed in this. It'll take us a while to do it. But we've done things like this before. Across the river, there's a waste processing plant that generates electricity. We were able to work with them to put that together on an abandoned industrial site that used to be used for making Fleischmann's yeast, molasses, gin. I remember the gin part. Anyway, and it's turned into a great benefit for the community. It produces a surplus of about $8 million+ per year for the school district and for the village, the city over there. So I have visions of sugar plums that we could actually do the same thing over here. So that's what we're all about at this point. And the mayor's really said it just exactly correctly.
And the other bigger benefit here is our relationship with West Point. Having these projects here in the village really will help us moving forward with much bigger projects. The land use on 9W and much bigger projects that West Point's involved with. This is a great start to something that will help us both financially and with our relationship with West Point.
And also the collaboration with the town. Bill
Exactly.
Edsel, who is an engineer, has been involved with these talks as well.
And he should be, because that plant is operating at probably capacity at this point. So in the future, if they develop any more property down here, they're gonna need the expansion also.
And then with the town end, which again, it's, though there is no real problem, but it's forcing us to do more talking with the town, which needs to happen anyway. And particularly with our consolidation, but another benefit, when you talk about the town, one of the possibilities that the group that we have working with the city is talking about is actually purchasing the plant in Montgomery. That money, $2 to $3 million possibly, will go to the district. And then that will become part of the larger sewer plant. That will be more of a pumping station to the larger sewer plant. So there are so many benefits. We are gonna continue to update you on what's going on and what's available. And again, like anything else, we want your input, we want your concerns, and we want your feedback. So now we have a second to approve the resolution, and I'll read that. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls desires to pursue the feasibility of a joint wastewater processing facility with another municipality and others to lessen the burden of the owners of the village, of the present and normal burden of the costs associated with operating the present wastewater processing system. And whereas the Village of Highland Falls has undertaken preliminary steps to solicit organizations capable of producing the proper engineering and development plans by publication. And whereas the Village of Highland Falls now wishes to engage and retain the services of the National Development Corporation or one of its nonprofit corporations to provide the expert services of oversight and the engagement of such an engineering and development firm in a manner that will lessen the burden of the current operation of the benefit of the ratepayers of the Village of Highland Falls by minimizing the costs associated with the operation of a wastewater facility and thereby providing the best value to the municipality. Now therefore be it the consensus of the Village of Highland Falls to engage and retain the National Development Corporation in terms acceptable to both parties for the purpose of arranging for the soliciting, awarding, and engaging an engineering and development firm, and for a further proposal to construct and operate a joint wastewater processing facility for consideration by the participating municipalities. Questions on the resolution? All those in favor?
Right.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain because even though he's a volunteer,
understand.
the special engineer on this is a
Let me
member
get
of my
this,
household.
let me understand that this is not to engage in any cost or anything, right?
Bill?
This is an agreement to agree in the future. But in order for us to do this, we may have a very minor expense related to the cost for travel only, but not for anything else. In order for a period of about 6 months, while Mr. Marsh is going to travel to Washington DC to cement what amounts to the commitment from the Department of Defense for them to do this plan. That's really what it is. But aside from that, this is not binding on anybody for anything. What we're saying is this is a good idea. We think the sense of it means what we're saying there is we agree to agree in the future.
This doesn't commit us to to anything at this point.
There's nothing
I guess that's my
binding.
that's my question. That's my question,
If
yeah.
you're asking, a better way to say this is, it's the sentiment of the village.
Right. That we want to move forward, what's the next step?
Yes.
Okay, I have, any
You
opposed?
didn't really have a motion on that? You
We did.
motioned to go into discussion, but
Well,
then.
no, it was a motion to vote, and Charlie said discussion, but that's what it is, it's a motion to vote, then you discuss it,
So now you want a roll call?
now we need a roll call.
Okay, trustee Mallon,
Aye.
trustee Brown,
As long as there's no commitment. Oh, yeah, that's straight,
I
for
understand.
now.
is that
Okay,
an aye?
Is that an aye?
yeah.
Trustee Murphy,
Recusal.
Mayor Flynn.
Aye. All right, I need a motion to accept the bills and claims for the year 14-15 in the amount of $64,288.51.
I make a motion to accept the bills and claims.
Mr. Brown, do I have a second? Mr. Mellon, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? two things, for those that didn't see the paper, we were very happy that the Old Guard has been approved, the first stages of their building. They've been approved to knock down the Winter's Echo and to move forward at this time. To give everyone an update on that, that's where they are at. And also another project that we are looking into is a hydroelectric project, which again is something that we are looking to undertake to make some serious benefits to the village. And as we have more information on that, that will also come to the village. This time I need a motion, unless there are comments from the board. Mr. Brown? Charlie? Mr. Mellon? No. All right. Public comment.
Hold just a minute.
Yes, sir.
This is about the DPW.
Yes, sir.
When we first made changes with the DPW, I was a little doubtful about it. But making periodically checks and talking to the employees of the DPW, and what I've seen, it's been a big change in the personnel, the employees, and the leadership. I think everything has gone very well. And the notice, when we had the dead storm and the rain there was no flooding because the men were right on cue there, getting everything done. So I would just like to say about the DPW, I think they're doing a very good job with Kevin and the employees. Everybody's happy, the morale is up, and this is what I like to see, so I think they're doing a very good job.
Excellent. And just on top of that, real quick, they are also making excellent strides to keep the overtime down. On the storm itself, but there were 2 instances where there were water leaks, and they actually did what had to be done during the time of work, making sure everything was safe and proper, rather than do another 5 or 6 hours of overtime with 4 or 5 people. They stopped and they finished it the next day during regular hours. So they're very conscious of the need to keep the overtime down, and they are working on it.
And we're very happy. That's what makes the job go easy.
Public comment. At this time, I would like a motion to move an executive session to discuss specific individuals and personnel matters and a contractual matter.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you so much for everyone joining us tonight. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. And thank you to the ambulance corps members that came also.